Checkmate. Game of chess. Takes a lot of thought, preparation, calculation, chance, luck. I'm pretty good, I guess, depending on who I'm playing. Remember, I took my son to a carnival once, years ago, and I wanted to impress him. They had this little setup where a bunch of folks were lined up with chessboards, and for $1, you can play. You can play. So I was going to impress my son, and I sat down, made a couple moves, and in less than a minute, I had lost that game. So yeah, I'm pretty good, all right, but it really all depends on who I play. I think that's a reality of life that we have, is that we are good, but we're also bad. We're better than some, we're worse than others. That's just the way life is. I suppose somewhere on this planet there's that person that's better at everything, and there's that person that's worse at everything, but for most of us we fall somewhere in between. And what we strive to do, and if we're fortunate, we get better. And of course we'll never be the best in all likelihood, but we can get better. I think that's the problem that we have in our lives as human beings, is that we're born, we come to this world with so much potential, way up here. But it's like as we live, as we breathe, as we move, as we make decisions and all, it's like our potential drops slowly but surely every day of our lives. And so we never really come to the place where we can attain our full potential. It's sort of like the game of chess. You know, you start off with an opponent, and you have the same amount of pieces. You have all these pawns, and you have the castle, and knight, bishop, king, queen, and another bishop and knight and castle and all. But you have the same amount of pieces as your opponent. So you have the ultimate potential to decimate your opponent and have all of your pieces left over. But it's like every move and every calculated risk that you take, you lose more and more. And really, the essence of the game of chess is to have more pieces left in a more strategic place than your opponent when the game is over. And hopefully, when the words checkmate, are announced, you're the one announcing those words, checkmate. But again, life. None of us are perfect, and none of us make all the right moves, and so every day of our lives, our potential dwindles. But what I'm suggesting today is that if we look at life properly, look at the situations of our lives, and even the failures and the things that we wish we could do better, or wish we had a better handle on, if we could just look at things properly, we'll recognize that much of our potential is lost because of our mindset, because of our acquiescing to, oh well, this is just the way life is, and it's not going to get any better. We eliminate the potential that's still setting before us. It's sort of like you're playing a chess game and you're not doing very well, and then you just lay your king down. You have the option to lay your king down in a game of chess, which means you quit, you concede, and the game is over and your opponent's won. And I'm afraid this is what we do in life all too often. We lay our king down. And it's one thing maybe to lay your king down when it's time, maybe on that last day, when you're breathing your last breath and all, but far too often we lay our king down, we capitulate, we give in before the game is done, before the battle is over, before we've actually lost. And then of course we've lost at that point. I have this program, this computer program, and so I don't really have opportunities recently, over the past few years, to actually play people. I'm pretty busy like most of us. But I do have this computer program that I discovered I had on my computer maybe a couple of months ago, And so I was really excited when I found it, so I started playing it, And I was on like the first level, I wasn't even looking at the levels. I was just glad I had a chess game, and I was playing. I was beating the chess game over and over and over again. And I was looking at the options, in that chess program, and I recognized that there are like 10 levels, and I was on level 1. That's why I was beating this machine all the time. So I said, okay. So I moved it up to level 2. Bam! I beat it real easy. Moved up to level 3. Beat it. So I moved up to level 4, and I moved up to level 5. So okay, I'm going to try level 5. And I lost. And I lost again, and I lost again. And so far, I've lost about 60 games, and I haven't won any. I've had like 3 draws, but I've lost 60 games, over 60 games so far over the past month. And you know, one might think, well, it can be kind of depressing, you know, but no, it's not depressing. To me, it's a challenge because I know that I last longer now when I'm playing this program on level 5 than I was when I first started. So I must be getting better. I think this is the reality of life. I think we lose out sometimes when we're trying to accomplish a task. Maybe it's to lose weight. Maybe it's to save money. Maybe it's to kick an addiction or something, you know, or a habit or whatever. And we're watching ourselves daily, moment by moment, as we're trying to have victory over the thing that we're faced with. And it doesn't take that much time before we lose hope and we get discouraged and we give up. But what I'm suggesting today, even when you have a mindset that you want to attack this ill, that you want to deal with this addiction or this particular malady of the mind that you have to be dealing with, that even that attitude right there is a step in the right direction. You're better than you were before. So you know, using the analogy of this computer chess program that I've been working with over the past couple of months, you know, I could get discouraged and feel, well, you know, maybe I'm not getting any better, but to recognize that now that I'm lasting longer now than I was when I started on level 5, that I'm probably way better than I was when I started, but I just can't tell while I'm playing this game because I'm still losing. But I'm determined. I'm determined to beat this game. And even I'll be out, you know, and about, you know, my day, doing whatever I do through the day and all, and I have an idea. I know I'm going to come back and I'm going to try this strategy. And then I come back and it kind of works a little bit, but then bam, it doesn't work. And then just the other day I had another strategy. You know, and my strategy was, well, I'm going to stop going for the king. I'm going to stop going for the checkmate. I'm just going to start working on knocking its men off, and then see how that, and that worked for a minute, but then I lost that game as well. So. But I'm determined. I know that I may not be what I want to be, but I'm way better than I was before. And the key is just not to give up. You know, it's sort of like a man that's in a foot race. You know, the race isn't won by the man who runs the fastest. The race is won by the man who doesn't quit. So you can be as fast as you want to be, but it doesn't matter. You ever seen a boxing match or a karate match or something where a guy comes out there and he's really strong and he's hitting hard, he's hitting hard and he's beating the other guy. But by the time, you know, round 2, 3, 4, by the time they get to the 9th, 10th, or 11th round, the man is like exhausted. And the guy who was less talented ends up beating him because this guy wore himself out. So it's not about it's not about the strongest. It's not about the fastest, you know, or anything like that. It's about the man who doesn't give up, who doesn't quit. And I'm afraid we, especially as African Americans in this nation, and maybe because we've been faced for so many years, so many 100 years with disappointments and you know, dreams being dashed, you know, unfair treatment and all that we have come to the place where we don't even last long. As soon as we get this sign or a hint of failure or setback, we give up. And that's not the way that it should be, and I promise you that if we just hang in there just a little bit longer, we would have some more victories than we do. And so this is like an encouraging commentary today, is that we need to hang in there. We shouldn't give up. We shouldn't quit. We should not lose heart or lose hope. But just keep on going, keep on persevering, and we'll get to the end of this race. We'll win as individuals in life. In the individual race of your own life, you'll win if you don't give up, in all likelihood. And so I'm convinced that eventually I'm going to beat that program, level 5 on my chess program. And then guess what I'm going to do? Celebrate? Go out and buy a pizza or something? No. I'm going to upgrade it to level 6. And I'm sure I'm going to be back to square one on level 6, struggling to find victory. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue. You know, we're coming toward the end of the year, and toward the end of the year, every year, you know, we always make these resolutions. We look at our life, and we look at our lives, and we think, you know, what is it that we would have liked to have accomplished, or what is it that we want to accomplish next year? So we make all these New Year's resolutions. And after so many years of making resolutions, many of us have become resolute in not making resolutions because we don't want to go through the negativity of having failed in the resolutions, even a week after we start. But again, even failing, even not following through with our resolutions is again that capitulating, that giving up, laying the king down in the endeavors in our lives because we feel that we just can't do it, we can't make it, we fail, we get tempted, and we succumb to the temptation, and we just forget about it. So now we come to the point in our lives where often we don't even make resolutions anymore. So not only are we not persevering and not finishing the race, we've come to a point now in our lives where we're not even going to the start line. We're not even going to line up. Okay, and so of course we're not going to finish the race that we're faced with in life if we don't even line up. If we decide we're not even going to run it in the first place because we're so afraid of losing. And we need to straighten up. This has to be a new year for us. Look, we have an African American president. We have something in our lives that we can look at, sort of like that rabbit, you know, in the greyhound, when the greyhound races, how they have that rabbit that they're following around. We have to recognize that things may not be as we just assumed that they were. They're not. Now, who would ever thought we'd ever have an African American president? No one. I was talking to this Caucasian friend of mine, you know, at work, and we were talking about, I was telling him how I've been in school ever since Obama became president. I'm very close to getting my degree. And he was, and I was saying, I'm doing it because, you know, a black man became president. It was something that no one ever believed could happen. He goes, oh, you know, and he was trying to, I was like, man, don't even go there, you know. No one ever thought a black man would be president. We recognize that. So all I'm saying is sometimes we have particular truths that we have etched in stone in our minds and in our heart, that everything, that's sort of like a foundation that our belief systems are built on. And what I'm suggesting today is one of those foundations, one or two of those foundations or more may not be exactly correct. Now, we've spent our entire lives building our lives on particular foundations that we believed were true, and what I'm suggesting today is that they're not. And so Obama gave us a very good, a clear picture to recognize that one of our most basic foundational structures in our lives as as black folks in America has been off. There can be a black president. We didn't believe it. So how many other negativities were built, even subconsciously, were built on that particular foundation of a lie that a black man could never be president in America? Because if a black man couldn't be this, then a black man couldn't be that. If a black man couldn't be that, then a black man couldn't be this, and we've built mountains on this false foundation. And I'm suggesting there are other false foundations in our lives. I'm suggesting today that there's nothing that we can't do, well, as African Americans, but as human beings. But specifically for this program, African Americans, there is nothing that we can do. But look at our lives. Look how we've settled. Look how we've settled for less. The potential that we were born with was great, and look where we're at today. And that we acquiesced, oh, well, this is just the way that it is. I see it in the inner city all the time, and it vexes me. I see young people whose lives are all jacked up, and they don't even realize it, and the road that they're on isn't going anywhere. But they're cool. They're slick. I'll walk into maybe the local high school, one of the local high schools, public high schools here in Dayton, and see young African American boys, you know, like sitting in the office, you know, in trouble, and just sitting there with their legs all out, all cool, and you know, this thing they call swag is ridiculous. It's another lie. It's an illusion of nothing. You can have nothing and have this thing called swag, and it's supposed to be something. It's an illusion. It's a lie. It's nothing. Okay? And so they're sitting there, you know, all cool and everything, not realizing that the road they're on is a road to destruction. Every last one of them. They're going nowhere, and they don't even realize it at that young age. I heard a man said, if you want to know where you're going to be, you know, 10, 15, 20 years from now, look around your neighborhood. Look around many of the people in your life, and that's what you're going to be 20, 30, 40 years from now. We walk around the neighborhood and we see the wino, you know, on the side of the street asking for a quarter in front of the liquor store. Or we see the crack addict, or we see the woman who's doing pretty much anything, you know, she needs to do to get certain things that she might want, and we might snicker, we might chuckle, we might even roll our eyes or nose up at her or whatever. But to recognize none of those folks when they were teenagers, had determined that that was their aspiration for life. That's what they were going to be.